I'd like to call to order the Hatfield Township Board of Commissioners regular meeting for July 26, 2023. Roll call.
President Zipfel.
Here.
Vice President Rogers.
Here.
Commissioner Andrus. Commissioner Lees. Commissioner Zimmerman.
Here.
So this is a township meeting. This is exciting because as many of you who attend realize this is not the crowd that we normally get. So we have a lot of excitement tonight. And at the risk of saying that our prior meetings this year were maybe not as exciting, and that the ones coming forward, for the remainder of this year, maybe nowhere near as exciting, this may singularly be the most exciting meeting we have all year with all the great things we have on our agenda. We are thrilled to have so many people here tonight, and we're really going to enjoy it. So if we smile, especially those of us up on the dais are beaming ear to ear, it's because you're here. So we really appreciate everyone's attendance. So we're going to start off, though, with obviously our Pledge of Allegiance. And I would like to ask our man of the hour, the man of the evening, Charlie Seibel, HTMA volunteer board member for 50 years, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening. So before we get to all the excitement, we do have a couple of housekeeping items that we always have to take care of first, and we're going to run through those as quickly as possible so that we don't have people lose too much interest. All right, is there a motion for approval of tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Vice President Rogers.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Zimmerman. All in favor of approving tonight's agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, we can move forward with the agenda before you and up on the screen. Are there any citizens' comments on agenda items? And for the recognitions and whatnot, you can save some time. We'll open up the floor for when the people are recognized, not just for the scholarship winners, but also for Charlie. All right. Seeing no one run up to the dais, we're going to move on to our consent items. Is there a motion to move the consent items that are listed in your agenda into the record?
Moved.
Motion by Commissioner Zimmerman.
Second.
Second by Vice President Rogers. Those items include the Board of Commissioners regular meeting minutes of June 28, the North Penn Water Authority meeting minutes of May 23, the HTMA meeting minutes of June 13 and June 23, the police report for the month of June, the treasurer's report for the month of June, the VMSC report for May and June, the Hatfield Calmer Volunteer Fire reports for the second quarter and June, and the bills payable, paid bills in the amount of $64,661.65, and unpaid bills in the amount of $502,906.86. With that, I will call the question. All in favor of moving those into the record, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, those are moved into the record. Okay, that's the housekeeping items. We're going to move on to our exciting stuff. And yes, the first thing that we're going to lead off with is recognition of Charlie Seibel for 50 years of leadership at the HTMA board. Charlie, would you mind meeting me over at the podium? It is a tough walk, but you can hang out here with me. So we were at an event last night at a local restaurant honoring Charlie for his 50 years that was thrown by the HTMA. And it was an absolutely wonderful crowd, his family and friends. And I told him, I gave him a little bit of a forecast in advance of tonight that I said, one of the ways that we like to make people, or to honor them and to recognize them, is to tease them a little bit and to have some fun. Nothing crazy, but it kind of made sense while we were sitting there to start to talk about, since he's been on the HTMA board, a volunteer board, unpaid, 50 years, our estimate more than 600 meetings. That's probably a low estimate. That's probably, I'm sure there's more.
During construction.
Oh, I'm sure of that, during the construction, that's right. And then subcommittee meetings, add that. So I'm going to say it's not a stretch to say 1,000 times, 1,000 meetings over the last 50 years. If well, for tonight we're going with 1,000.
Including phone conversations.
Oh, including phone conversations, we can double that. I can tell you as a commissioner, you can double that. All unpaid, all volunteer, all done for the benefit of Hatfield Township. This is not a board that gets its picture on the front of the newspaper. This is not a board that gets its picture on Facebook. This is one of the most unsung boards in Hatfield Township. It's the HTMA, the Municipal Authority, okay? If you're not familiar with exactly what it does, look it up. It is one of the most critical functions that goes on in Hatfield.
We keep the
That's important.
That was perfectly put.
don't beat around the bush.
So 50 years ago, let me tell you a little bit about what the world looked like, especially for the younger folks who are probably going to say, what? A gallon of gas only costs that much? A gallon of gas was 35 cents, okay? Hatfield Township population was 8,600 people, as opposed to 19,000 currently. The average cost of a new house was roughly $32,500, and Charlie was a home builder, so he was the resident expert in that area for sure. The Sears Tower opened in Chicago 50 years ago, the year that you became a board member. No, I'm bringing this to a very important point. Although there's another joke here. Pete Dorney had not yet worked at the HTMA, believe it or not. And from our perspective, the commissioners and the staff here, it seems like Pete and the HTMA, it's like there was no HTMA without Pete. So the fact that you predated Pete is quite a feat as well.
Well, he
He absolutely does one fantastic job. So why am I doing this? One, to tease a little bit. Like I said, we like to have fun when we recognize. But more importantly is this. When you have someone who has volunteered at this level for so long and is such an expert in the area, we're not just talking about someone who's volunteered in an organization. We are literally talking about a towering figure in Hatfield government. And I mean that. And it's not just because he's taller than me now, and he was taller than me 15 years ago when I first met him. Charlie is a towering figure in Hatfield government. He has been a towering leader in Hatfield government for many, many years. There are people here, there are officers here, I'm sure, have known him for many years. There are residents here who have known him, I'm sure, have known him for forever. But I also know that there are people here who volunteer on our boards, right? Other boards. And he is the barometer. He is the benchmark by which people seek to volunteer. And when you have someone like that, and they hit a milestone like this, it is only befitting that we bring you in and we say thank you. And so we've done two things.
here
We have a proclamation. I will read that, and then we have something for you to bring home and put on your mantle. So the proclamation reads as follows. The Hatfield Township Board of Commissioners desire to recognize Charles Seibel for his exemplary 50 years of service to the Hatfield community. And whereas Charles Seibel has served as a board member for the HTMA continuously since 1973. Whereas Charles Seibel was instrumental in upgrading the wastewater treatment plant in both 1983 and in 1994. Whereas Charles Seibel served as both chairman and treasurer of the authority throughout his tenure on the board. Whereas Charles Seibel helped introduce unique and technologically advanced concepts to the Hatfield Township Municipal Authority that are still being utilized today. And now, therefore, be it proclaimed, in accordance with the foregoing, that the Board of Commissioners of Hatfield Township does hereby endorse this proclamation as recognition to Charles Seibel for his 50 years of commitment and dedication to Hatfield Township, proclaimed and presented this 26th day of July, 2023. Congratulations, and thank you very much. Before I give you the microphone, oh yes, you can share this with your family, and like I said, hopefully it fits nicely on a mantle. There's a beautiful glass honorarium that we've provided for him. Outstanding Service Award honoring Charles Seibel in grateful appreciation of your 50 years of outstanding service and dedication, 2023, Hatfield Township. No, no, the podium is yours if you like it. Before we take, then we'll take photos. Then we'll take photos.
50 years ago, I appeared in front of the board doing a small subdivision. And when the meeting was, I was done, they were done my business, a member of that board, Dorothy Peterson, said to me, "Charlie, you've made your living in this township. It's time you gave something back." I said, "Dot, I live in Franconia." Said, "We already checked you out and approved you, and the meeting starts next Tuesday." So that's how I landed here, and that's why I'm here now. That was a long ride, but it doesn't seem that long until you tell me how long it is. I recognize some people on this board, but I've seen a lot of people come and go. And maybe we'll all be gone soon, but I'll be there until they take me out of the harness. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Up, yeah, sits here and Ralph. Come on, Pete. George. George. Good to be so giving. I have anything to do with that. Yeah.
Good.
50 years.
Still better than mine.
So I have to tell you, it's not many times when you have a generational leader like Charlie come to a meeting, so we're very excited. And then right behind that, which also makes this often our best meeting of the year, is the Chapman Scholarship Awards. And so, Chief, I'm going to hand the ball off to you.
There's a Chapman Scholarship Board, Eric Geiger and Brandy. So Detective Geiger, Corporal.
Good evening. As the chief stated, my name is Detective Eric Geiger. I'm a member of the treasurer of the Chapman Scholarship Foundation. Just like we're here tonight to honor four very accomplished students in the greater North Penn Souderton area. Just want to tell you a little bit about the Scholarship Foundation. Tonight we're pleased to have the opportunity to publicly recognize recipients of the 2023 Officer William J. Chapman Memorial Scholarship. And we're honored to have some of this scholarship was in its 18th year, honors a colleague who was a Hatfield Township police officer for 15 years until his death in 2005 following a serious illness. Officer Chapman was not only an exemplary police officer, but also an extraordinary man. Those of us who were fortunate enough to call him a friend remember his kindness, loyalty, tireless optimism, and his remarkable sense of humor. Those who met him because of his profession remember a sincere and fair officer whose efforts never strayed from serving our community with the dedication and benevolence. To honor Officer William Chapman and continue his legacy, his fellow officers founded this scholarship. We could think of no better way to cultivate the ideas held by Officer Chapman than by assisting students who have chosen a career that personally invests their efforts and talents back into their communities. Graduating high school seniors seeking an undergraduate degree in a public service-oriented field, such as criminal justice, education, or social work, are eligible to apply for this scholarship. The students being acknowledged tonight exemplify the spirit of this scholarship. While we are very impressed with their scholastic accomplishments, they distinguish themselves through their outstanding personal achievements and commitment to their communities. Officer Chapman will be proud of these extraordinary young adults receiving the scholarships bearing his name. Congratulations to each of you, and thank you for helping us honor our friend. I get the fortunate pleasure of announcing the first recipient of the scholarship, Grace Boyd. Grace is a graduate of Souderton Area High School. Actually, Grace, you want to come on up? Missy, you want to come up too? Come on. Sean, come on. Nobody wants to stand up here. Jeff declines. Grace is a graduate of Souderton Area High School, where she achieved numerous academic and athletic and community service honors and awards. Grace graduated with a 4.3 grade point average, was a 3-year member of the National Honor Society, served as a student council representative for 3 years, an advanced placement scholar, and was an honor roll recipient all 4 years. Grace was a 4-year volleyball player for Souderton and selected to be the Athletic Leadership Council in 10th, 11th, and 12th grades. Her community service achievements include the Interact Club, a Rotary Service Club, Adopt a Highway Ambassador. She volunteered at Care and Share, where she assisted with food and clothing drives for the Keystone Opportunity Center and Jenna's Blessing Bags. Grace also volunteered her time in the efforts to the Montgomery Child Advocacy Project, a nonprofit organization providing free legal representation to children who have been abused or witnessed abuse in Montgomery County. By organizing social media campaigns to draw attention for online auctions, a 5K charity run, and raise awareness for Child Abuse Prevention Month in April. Grace will be attending the University of Pittsburgh in the fall, where she will be on a pre-law track following her mother, majoring in sociology and minoring in English. Congratulations, Grace. And Bill?
Grace, you got to stay up front. Normally, all of them stay up front and get a picture taken at the end.
Good evening. Our next recipient is Marlise Giesbrecht, who is joined tonight by her parents. Marlise is a graduate of Doc Mennonite Academy. While attending Doc Mennonite Academy, Marlise was a part of the National Honor Society, Chamber Choir, the Blooming Glen Mennonite Church Youth Group, and the cross country and track and field team, where she was named team captain and received the Top Newcomer Award. Over the past 4 years, Marlise has also participated in numerous community service activities. Marlise attended service trips to Vermont and Puerto Rico and volunteered at local shops and church community events. Marlise will be attending Grove City College to study nursing. Marlise is excited to use her future nursing skills to give back to the community through the patients she cares for. We wish her the best of luck and know she will continue to succeed for years to come. Congratulations, Marlise. Done yet. Our next recipient is Devin Crump, who could not be here tonight. Devin is a graduate of North Penn High School. While attending North Penn High School, Devin was a part of the school cabinet and senate, African American Association Club, Minithon, and track team. During her time at North Penn, Devin received the Martin Luther King Jr. Service Award and Key Club Induction Certificate. The Key Club requires students to complete at least 100 hours of community service each school year, which Devin exceeded by nearly 100 hours while maintaining her grades, working, and volunteering elsewhere. Devin loves volunteering and helping others and is excited to continue being involved in community service throughout college. Devin will be attending Howard University and will further her history of helping others by studying nursing. We wish her the best of luck and know she will continue to do well. Congratulations, Devin.
Up here. All right, Levi is a graduate of Satterton Area High School, where he achieved numerous academic awards. He was the top 5% of his class for all 4 years at Satterton. He was part of the 4-time state champion academic decathlon team, and he has also won numerous Student Spotlight Awards in world language and history. He was part of the National Honor Society, was a Red Alert producer, which is the news program for Satterton High School, and the co-founder of the College Prep Club. Not to be outshined, though, is the fact that he was also selected as the homecoming king. In his essay that he wrote, Levi stated that he wanted to become a teacher because he could not imagine any other career that would be fulfilling. He one day hopes to inspire students and instill in them a love for learning and a sense of belonging. Levi will be attending Westchester University Honors College in the fall, where he will be majoring in history and secondary education so that he can pursue his passion in education and become a secondary education teacher. Congratulations, Levi.
As we do every year, and you can, as witnessed in the lobby of the police department, this will be the 18th plaque placed up in the lobby of the police department with the recipients' names on it, and you'll be immortalized in the police department as we move forward into years to come. So thank you very much, and congratulations.
You guys want to go down, Tom?
You want me to get a picture?
Parents too. Yep. Go over the center there. Parents.
So this is like the awkward part where most people are trying to figure out how long they have to stay before they can go. And we'll let you go in a little bit, but a couple of things before you head out. And that's fine if you do. I just want to reiterate that if you haven't heard us say this before, I'll say it again. in my opinion, and I think the remainder of the board would, the rest of the board would agree with me, this is our highest honor. Tonight, that scholarship is our highest honor in Hatfield. And so it's not just, we're not just smiling because people showed up to the meeting tonight. It really is an opportunity to remember, Officer Chapman. Years past, Mom and Dad would come, and it was a bit of a reunion in that regard too. And beforehand and afterwards, the officers I know will tell stories about him, and it's a time where we get to remember him. And I didn't know him very well at all, but those in the back of the room, many did, and certainly Chief did. And so to hear those stories and to recognize his commitment to our township, and then to know that for 18 years, his spirit has been continuing, and that there are such great people in Hatfield who take up that mantle and represent him in that way. I also say this each year too, it's amazing when I hear all the things that the recipients have done. Most people don't get that done in half a lifetime, and you were able to do that just in, just probably 17 or 18 years. So we're very proud of you that you're part of our community. And while two of you seem to be going out towards the Pittsburgh area, which is troublesome, we are fully expecting and hoping that you will return permanently there after what is obviously just a foolish jaunt over to the western side of Pennsylvania. If you haven't figured out, our township manager's originally from Pittsburgh, and yes, we like to make fun of Pittsburgh as much as we can.
Brightest people go.
They start here. They go over there for whatever reason. They take pity on those folks, and then they return.
Yep.
We have just laid out the many years of your life. You're all squared away. Moms and dads, I'll end it with this. Moms and dads, brothers and sisters, very proud. I'm sure that you're very proud of your sons and daughters, and just a wonderful opportunity. We want to say thank you because you've raised great kids, and as a parent of two kids who are getting older, it's great when somebody says that to you. You raised great kids, and it's our privilege to honor them tonight. So thank you. So. Okay, so now the awkward part of how long do we have to stick around is kind of over. You can leave if you want. However, I will tell you that one of the yeah, that's right.
That's coming up next, so stay tuned.
That's a great presentation. Now, it's another big item, which is we're going to hear about our new, our new police. Yeah, I was going to say you're doing the patch presentation first. I got out ahead of myself. So, and then we'll hear about the new digs. Yes, I figured that. So, Chief, why don't I hand it off to you, the patch. Oh, we're okay.
Hey, come up here. Sorella, get up here. This is retired Lieutenant Sorrell, now Chief Sorrell, so he's one of mine. Have the mic right here. Didn't I talk into the mic when he was talking? Not happening. You get me up here one shot and that's it. So I want to make sure I get my dates right. So in tune with the new building, and then as we try to move forward in our relationship with the borough, the township took over police service with the borough in 1977. Is that right, Sarge? 77. It was May of 77. I graduated from high school in June of 77. That's when we started providing service to Hatfield Borough. Our building opened in 1979, our current police building. 1979 it is. So we've been always looking how we can be better community oriented. Our board, the current board, and the boards we've had in the past have always allowed us to be who we are, better, giving us the tools to become better. And working in tune with the borough has been a phenomenal relationship. And I'm going to venture to guess it's probably one of the longest standing municipal relationships. So even though we're both called Hatfield, I think a lot of our residents probably don't realize there's a Hatfield Township and a Hatfield Borough, much like a lot of borough residents don't know because we're just called Hatfield. With that, we're going to be called Hatfield. So, Aaron, can you put up the patch for me, please? Going from the patch on the left, Hatfield, now we're becoming the Hatfield Police. And you can see proud of to share on our new building. Growing the residents, as we'll be closer to the borough. The residents from the borough will be happier. I think that's my idea. Through attrition, we'll start having it on our patches. Our police department to you representing the township. How the patches have changed through the years. I believe it says at the bottom, if I'm not mistaken, great communities, one great department. Hatfield Police 2020. Incarnations of our patches. This is the one I started out with. We went to this, we went to that. That's the old borough patch, and then the patch. And we'll be doing the same thing with Borough Council, because again, a strong group of leaders of municipalities to say, let's work together and let's make this happen.
Chief, thank you. And I know we say this regularly, and we should say it as often as we can, and especially at the relevant time, which tonight is. I've been on the board for a number of years now, over 10 years, and I've been a resident here for 27 years in Hatfield. And I know I'm biased, there's no doubt about that. But when I leave Hatfield, not only do I feel like we have the best police force, I'm told throughout the county, when I bump into other colleagues who are either commissioners or supervisors, they just think the world of not just our police force, but our staff as a whole. So thank you to you, the entire force, who's many of which are with us tonight, their families, and our staff as a whole. I got to tell you, it's a very easy position to be as a commissioner when you have such great leadership, and it's not just the leadership here at the dais; it's the leadership throughout the entire everyone here in this room tonight. So thank you very much, fantastic job, and on behalf of the now 19,000 residents, I realize that we're a little over 18. We're now 19,000 residents. Thank you very much. All right, so now we're going to jump into committee reports, which, oh, sorry. Oh.
Oh,
I just want to see you stand there.
Are we going to do the building presentation?
We are.
Absolutely. Yeah, we are.
That's why I'm walking down.
We are. Well, you were whistling and kind of skipping with the microphone, and we thought music was coming. Yes, that's absolutely true.
yeah, you were looking like Tony Bennett there for a little bit.
Well, not now. maybe some time ago. So, all right. So, yes, the lesser exciting portions of our meeting include committee reports, but the most exciting part of our committee reports is our plans for our new police station. So, Chief, I will hand the ball off to you. Well, actually, I should say it's part of Planning and Zoning Committee. It's Vice President Rogers.
Okay, sounds good. And will you take over this, please?
Be happy to. Be happy to. Thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President. I'm going to call up the team that has been involved in the design of our new station. I'm glad many of you stuck around, and I know Mr. President said not quite as exciting, but truthfully, this is the largest investment in a public facility in the history of Hatfield, and without question, the most important service we provide, other than keeping the Bible said. So this is an important project, and I hope many of you will stick around and ask questions and see what's happening over the last 6 months. So if I could introduce the team that has been leading the way. Tony Ganguza, if you could go to the podium. Tony's our construction manager with Boyle Construction. The commissioners have met Tony now several times. He's been at a few public meetings. Tony spent over 3 decades as an engineer, and he has overseen dozens of public projects such as this. Also a member of our team, Anton Kuhner in the blue. Anton is our rainmaker. Anton has brought in over $10 million worth of grants into Hatfield over the last 10 years and has helped offset the cost of all of the projects that you've seen throughout the town. Could not have done a lot of them without him. He's also been our traffic engineer for now 10 years. Mike O'Rourke, gentleman who just stood up, is our architect for the building. Mike has lived in Hatfield previously for over 20 years, so he knows the town as well as anyone. Few buildings you may be familiar with in the town. St. Maria Goretti is Mike's work, as well as many other buildings in the region. He has over 35 years of experience as an architect and leading projects like this. So commissioners and the public, just a reminder, we have a very qualified and accomplished team. But beyond that, by using this team and by using a template that from another station in Bucks County, we've saved the taxpayers over $400,000 soft costs to begin the project. So moving quicker than would have if we would have started from scratch. So all those things are important to note. So let's go through some slides. We'll show the community for the first time what the future of the police department is going to look like. Obviously, the new location of the building is going to be right in the central part of the township, right next to the borough, like Chief said, which we provide services for. Existing station noted, and the new station will be as shown. A lot of the questions we received over the years since we first publicly started talking about this project was what is going to happen with the nature area in the back. We've had a handful of private meetings with some of the residents that like to visit that area daily. There's a lot of dedicated nature area residents here in Hatfield Township. And I don't think I would survive this project if we were doing anything different than what you see here. But so the 34 acres of the nature area will remain and be permanently preserved in perpetuity. This project will not interfere with that. We think the project will actually improve it, the accessibility, the visibility, and hopefully add to the nature area. So 34 acres will be permanently preserved, as has been since the 1970s. And then this 3-acre project will be along Cowpath Road for the police station. So why are we doing this is something that has come up over the years, and the commissioners obviously have been supportive of this project now for years. Commissioners acquired the land in 2020 at a very low interest rate. Sergeant Tarter, I'm not sure if you're in there, but he is. Point him out, Chief. Far left.
Amazingly, I worked with 9 of these 11 officers, which seems scary because they seem old, but I guess I'm old too.
Sergeant, were you upset about the basin back then? Just, Good. Just making sure.
The development
Okay.
wasn't there.
Sorry for ruining your retirement home. So, in the 1970s, there were 11 officers here in Hatfield Township, a very different community. In the 1970s, there were 8,000 residents in Hatfield Township, as we heard earlier with Mr. Seibel when he began to serve. A very different department, a very different community, a very different need. So now we have 30 officers and a growing department, a growing community, and we need a facility that is worthy of what we all consider the best police department in Pennsylvania. So here's our site plan. This is where the presentation will get very dry and boring over the next few minutes, and then we'll pick up some speed. But Anton, do you want to talk about some of the cowpath improvements in the drive to Orvilla and what else is going on out there?
Sure, you want to go back to the other one with the nice green area?
Sir.
Yeah, so just get everybody oriented. Police station be located along Cowpath Road. There's shopping center traffic signal the access will be directly opposite that. That'll be the main access for the police station. There'll be a secondary access that's in the same spot as how you access the nature area today. It's a little gravel driveway, so it'll be improved, as Aaron mentioned, more accessibility for the nature area. And then in addition, there'll be a police-only access driveway that'll go out to Orvilla Road, just to help with response times. So that's the general orientation. You want to go to the site plan now? So you're looking at a building that's probably double the size as what their police is currently in for the staff that they have now, and also planning for the future. As you can see, there's the access opposite Snyder Square Shopping Center. That's going to have some modification. We want to improve pedestrian maneuverability in the borough township, so that intersection gets smaller and hopefully make people more comfortable with walking there. We're going to have sidewalk along Cowpath Road, and we're going to look for future connections to Orvilla and into the borough. Up top, we have the police access road, and that's also going to have a separate pedestrian path so people can get from Orvilla Road to the nature area separate from the police access. A little bit of a separation there. As far as the site itself, you have the building. The police area is going to have a separated, secluded police parking area, and also up front is going to have a separate public parking area. Some of the features of the site, you're going to have EV charging stations are going to be there for public and also for the police. The solar canopies for the police vehicles, they'll be covered. We have stormwater management that's going to be maintained on the site here. A couple above ground, one underground. That'll take care of the storage. And that's the main aspect of the improvements. We're hoping that, like Aaron mentioned, accessibility not only for the police station but also for the nature area. And I guess next is Mike to talk more about the building itself and some of those features.
Thanks, Anton. Now the pictures, I think.
Oh.
Mike, we have all of the pictures, so if you want to just walk the community through, and I'll change the slides as you nod.
Thank you, Aaron. I'm very excited to be here tonight. Currently working on construction documents for the looking at is the main, and then there's a building behind which has a garage, 3-bay garage, and a firing range. Cars will be undercover, so you're seeing have solar panels on them to provide some. There are a number of other sustainable design principles that are built into them. A lot of site features Anton has. The materials will be very durable, obviously for a facility like this. Cast stone, called exterior insulated finish system in some of the higher areas. Will be a 50-year asphalt fiberglass shingle. All the fascias and trims on the building will be covered in aluminum, and the window system will also be. The police operations area will be separated with a gated system, which will automatically open. There'll also be some safety built into the front of the building with planters and bollards just to protect. Right-hand side of this image is a terrace right in the front part of the building. Interior, also durable materials. It's a combination of ground face concrete block, which also has a coloration. Polished looking lobby area or porcelain colors, so it's a lot of warm colors. Latest technology will be built. Also, quite a bit of natural light in this case. Natural light all the way around. Part of this facility.
Chief, do you want to talk about some of the interior and your reasoning behind some of the modifications that were made?
First of all, let me clear up the warm colors thing. So our old building, when I first moved into our existing building, everything was chocolate brown. The walls were chocolate brown. We had all metal furniture that was chocolate brown, and that had been in the old police station, which was the old township building, which is kind of right out front of where we used to be. Chief Turner at the time, from what I'm told, brought all the furniture up to Hatfield Auto Auction, had them spray paint everything brown. So we dealt with brown for years. Then we went to some cream color, which was a nightmare, and now we have the nightmare blue, which I painted in the entire building, but I think we're all tired of looking at blue, so having it more warm, I think would be better for our psyche as we go through this thing. So some of the, we actually had some officers in the beginning process here who said, and we spend so much time in this building. I mean, this is a home away from home, so it should be something that's comfortable for the people who live there a good portion of their lives. On the flexibility, everybody likes having a piece of the geography of the building. You can see here is we're looking into what will be the squad room, so where patrol officers write the reports and so on. And in this case, we added, is that called a storefront? Oh, in some other buildings, they have an open front. We wanted a storefront because we wanted the people to actually have some privacy if they're on the phone. To the right over here is a kitchen, which you can't see, but the activity in the kitchen bleeding over into that area. So we're trying to think of, can we give each person a work area, a personal work area, which we have tried to do in the existing building, but space is at a minimum, and most people probably don't know, our detectives aren't even in the building with us anymore. They're in a separate building. So in this regard, we'll all be back under one roof and all on one floor. There's none of this who's up. We're all on the same level, and we're all able to communicate equally. We have made some changes. We have a very big meeting room. That's a meeting room. So in that room, we can do a lot of our physical training and so on that we do. We can lay out mats. All the tables and chairs fold up, go out of the way into closets. Or we can hold seminars, bring people in from the outside. We can basically increase our training, which is huge. Training is a big part of what we do nowadays for liability and so on. So we can increase our training. We also added, can you go to the So again, in some other buildings we were looking at, they had huge evidence areas. We have one of the best evidence. And Lindsay takes care of that. And now evidence rooms get purged. Years ago, it was just a dumping room. Everybody opened the door and rifles and all junk just got piled in there until it was cleaned out however many years later. Now these areas are purged, so there isn't a need for so much space. About almost 400 square feet of that turned into a workout room. All the officers were definite, like we would like to see that within our building. So we've given it to them. Yeah, the detectives are again coming back. They're down bottom here. So the detectives have their own suite. So if I'm in the patrol area, we just saw the storefront. Directly across the hall to the left is the detective suite. Have that kitchen, the kitchen area where people can gather, which is important. We don't have the ability to really do that where we are. People grab a piece of pizza and move on. In this case, they can commiserate, talk about what's happening, learn about each other's families, and all the important things that go into having a good work day. I'll just start at the top and walk through. So that's Cal Path Road at the top. You come into the lobby. To the right, as you look at it, is the initial report writing area. So if somebody comes into our lobby, they'll be ushered into there. They can have a private conversation with the officer about whatever the issue is. Could it be something that's more detailed? There's very areas. There's a soft interview area for children. In current buildings, we see they have like requirement to speak outfit this building so that we can do that. Come right down this main hall, and down on the bottom left is the executive suite. The whole thing's my office. So myself and the lieutenants will be in there. Out, you move down, and then you can see the arrow is. Across from that is the patrol room area. And then there's an armory. Right now in our current armory, we've outfitted that about as Fort Knox as we can make it. Gun cleaning fluid. It has a complete lockdown system as far as getting odors and all out of the air. Same in the evidence room. If anybody would like to smell marijuana, stop in my office any day of the week, and you can smell it wafting throughout the building. In the new building, that won't happen. It has a completely airtight. I was going to sell it, John. I said
Edit that out.
so this will be locked down tight. All the odors drawn out of the building to keep everything safe. Bottom right here is the Sally Port. That's basically a garage, but that's where we bring prisoners into. We added one onto our department years ago. It's basically a pole barn on the side of the building. Closed block building. The doors come down. There's a timer so that door can't open again until inside the building with the prisoner. You have an interrogation room that's in the back, and all these areas have the ability to hold on the strays very long. We get them in and we get them out to the SPC. So I think that covers the main things. And again, the main thing was that the building has room to grow. We're 30 officers now. This building will be able to accommodate probably close to 50 years, much like our old one. And even our youngest officers will be in their 70s by the time anybody comes back asking for a police department. Not just a career type of plan, it's a lifetime plan for this place. I think that the citizens will be served well, our department will be served well, and as you can see, I think 90% everybody is really looking forward to this. We've been talking about this for a long time. Opportunity to even speak about it. Guy right there who doesn't like to take any credit, Aaron put this whole team together, and he has been our every need and make this
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Thank you, Chief. I appreciate that. Not necessary, but
Want
I
me to talk on
appreciate
this
it.
either?
Nope. Prefer you not. We'll take it from here. Well done. May need a little Anton and Tony if you get, but I'll summarize, Anton. Going to leave probably too, but so we mentioned most significant investment in Hatfield Township history when it comes to public facilities. You probably read in the paper about some additions to the school district, and you see the cost of buildings these days, certainly higher than what we anticipated years ago when we started talking about this. We don't have any costs at this point. We have some estimates, but we're not here to talk about that tonight. We'll talk about that later in the fall when we go out to bid, and we'll have more information then. What we want to make sure is clear, though, to the community is that we're going to leave no stone unturned when it comes to funding this building. So we are actively seeking over $8 million of state support when it comes to funding this building. Anton and his team have submissions for all of these, as well as Tony's team is going to help us with the RCAP grant for $5 million. We're going to go to DCED for 1.5. We're going to talk about that application later tonight. PennDOT for 250, DCED again at the state level for $1 million, DCED 500,000. So what we need from all of you in the room and the elected officials is when you bump into our legislators, you remind them of how important this project is to Hatfield Township, because without the support of our state officials, this project's most likely not going to be able to happen, or at least not going to be able to happen in the exact way we saw in those renderings. So it's very important for us to subsidize this project and get all the support that we need. So our track record, I think we've talked about it over the years. We know how to find money, and we're going to go after every penny we can for this project. So we'll be talking more about these in some upcoming meetings for the applications of these, but this is just a quick summary of where we're going to go after the money for to help fund the building. All right, Tony, finally, you waited your turn. You want to talk about time frame?
Yeah, and I won't take too much of your time, but what I will say, and I've been doing this a long time, and as Aaron said, I've worked on probably 30, 35 public projects. I have not had as much fun, enjoyed the process that I have here, truthfully. And I will tell you, I love coming to these meetings. I typically don't like coming to these meetings, but it has been great. And the staff has been great, and I think the chief and his team and Aaron and the whole administration have done a great job in collaborating and making this facility really the best it can be. The changes that the chief has made and suggested is really going to benefit this entire department. So I commend really the commissioners for a great staff that you have. I know you know that, but from someone from the outside who works with a lot of municipalities, this staff is top notch. So just to go over a couple, and to lead the team was great, and I really enjoy it. But just to go over a couple of dates and processes and time frames for you, as we're working through the construction document phase now. We finished all of our programming and schematic design, and we're really, Mike and his group and Anton and their group are really getting down into the weeds, I'll say, and making sure that these documents are put together before we go out to bid. So we are going to go out to bid in October-ish. We're going to file for our building permit about the same time and let that work its way through the process, as well as Anton and his group are getting our land development approvals. So we'll have all of our land development approvals in place and our permitting in place probably by January timeframe. So we'll take bids in October. We'll look to get the board a recommendation of award sometime in November for your consideration. And then assuming the project gets awarded by the board, we'll then work on contracts. Boyle will prepare the contracts along with your solicitor to get all of our contracts signed up and bonds and certificates of insurance in place. And we're going to look to begin construction in February, weather pending, of course, and having all of our permits in place. But we're going out to bid, and we talked about this before as a team, really right at the right time, right? Because contractors are gearing up for their spring schedule come, springtime, right? So hitting the ground in October ish, November-ish, getting those things in place is perfect timing for contractors to fill their pipeline for the spring. So I think our timing is good. Hopefully we get great pricing, and we're talking to Aaron at this point about budgeting for it. So any questions, I'm happy to answer them, and if there's any questions about the process or time frame, I'm happy to do that. I know you've had a long evening, a good evening, but
We
but a
did,
long
we
evening.
did. But it's exciting. It's very exciting. And we're thrilled. We know that not only has, our outside consultant's been a fantastic team, and we appreciate your sharing your thoughts on the strength of our staff here, and we know that really it is. The commissioners, I say all the time, we are volunteer elected officials who show up every few times a month, and really the work that gets done here is from the staff, from our township manager and our chief and all the other staff members, and they really do all the heavy lifting, and they do the day-to-day. And when I say staff, I don't mean here the administrative staff. It's the police force as well, and they do. But it's also great to hear when someone from the outside comes in and tells us what is so great to hear, which is that we have a really great team here. Yeah. So thank you. Any questions? Have any at the presentation, or is there
Yeah,
more?
regarding the land development, if the commissioners are comfortable, would like to have it on the agenda for next month for the consideration from the board, if you're comfortable with that. Yeah, we have, our second agenda item is zoning of the police station. So I'd imagine, the officers are here to support the station itself. That was the fun part and the interesting part. We're going to get more into procedural stuff. You certainly don't need to stick around for that, but that's where we're heading now. So that was the end of the presentation, the land development itself. Ken's here to talk. He shook off the retirement cloak and is here to explain what we're doing.
Dragged me back.
So if we could head over to that agenda item, commissioners, if you're okay with that, Ken will explain it, and then our solicitor will take us into a public hearing.
At this time, let me suspend the public meeting, proceed into a public hearing, and mark the following exhibits into the record. The legal notice is T1, the draft resolutions T2. I'll turn it over to Ken to kind of go over the resolution and the process. Ken?
Thank you, John. At this point, as Aaron said, you've heard all the interesting parts about the police station, and you're really going to hear background and detail from me, which is not nearly as interesting, but it's equally important. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the zoning portion of the project. If we have, and Aaron has the exhibit up here on the screen, you can see at the bottom of the screen in the central part of the, let me see if I can, got a temperamental pointer, but I'm going to try it. Here we go. This area right in here is the area that will be developed for the police station. And this area is a unique area because it includes 2 separate zoning districts. It includes 3 paper streets and about 35 individual properties. And when you put all of that together, you reach a conclusion pretty quickly that the property can't possibly be developed in strict compliance with our zoning ordinance. However, fortunately, the township zoning ordinance includes a provision that addresses municipal projects on township-owned property. And it's a one-sentence provision, and I think it's probably clearer if I just read that sentence for everybody so we understand what the ordinance says. It's titled Municipally Owned Property, and it states that whenever municipally owned property is included in one or more zoning districts, it shall not be subject to the provisions of this chapter, meaning the zoning ordinance, if after a public hearing, which is happening right now, the Board of Commissioners shall decide that the facility, structure, or use to occur on the premises is reasonably necessary for the health, safety, and welfare of the public. And I think based on what you've heard tonight, it couldn't be any clearer that this project satisfies that requirement. This allows the township to design and construct projects that enhance public health, safety, and welfare without strict compliance with zoning requirements. We've used this this section in other cases. In fact, this building is a good example. We used this section when we designed and constructed this building. We used it for the aquatic center. We used it on the current police station when the Sally Port was added and when the fencing was added along Chestnut Street. So it doesn't happen often, but it's happened on a pretty regular basis with township projects that we've had to use that section of the ordinance. And I think the other thing I want to make clear to anyone who's listening or in the room is that we're only talking about zoning provisions here. So we're only talking about the bulk and area requirements of the zoning ordinance. We're not talking about waiving or exempting the township from any other requirements such as stormwater management or landscaping or any of the other requirements that all developers need to comply with. And we will do that, and the design team that you've already heard from has prepared a plan that does comply with all of those requirements. So we will be meeting the stormwater management requirements. We need to meet the DEP requirements as far as our NPDES permitting and all of our other outside agency permitting. Anton has been careful to make sure that we're going to meet all of PennDOT's requirements. So the only thing we're talking about in this public hearing, and the only thing that section of the ordinance really deals with, are the bulk and area requirements of the zoning ordinance. The facility has been constructed to complement the setting. It's adjacent to the nature area, which is important to the township, and it was important to all the people involved in the design. We've been dealing with the frontage on Cowpath Road, which is difficult. Access issues have been a bit difficult, but Anton has worked us through all of those. And I think most importantly, the design has been accomplished in a way that recognizes the character of the community. It complements both Hatfield Township and Hatfield Borough, and it does it in a way that really does enhance the public health, safety, and welfare. So I think that's really about all I have to say about this. If anyone has any questions, John will.
Thank you, Ken.
Ask
At this
you.
time, any questions from the board? Seeing none, any questions from the public at this time? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing, proceed back into the public meeting. The board will take this under consideration at their next meeting, which I believe is August.
Mr. Solicitor, thank you very much. Actually, Vice President Rogers has the ball.
Sure, we're on item number 3, Taco Bell land development discussion.
Yes, now we're back into our regular land development routine here. The Taco Bell land development, I believe we have a couple of representatives from the Pettit Group here. This is the existing Taco Bell on Broad Street. It is adjacent to what was a Pizza Hut. It's been closed up and it's been repurposed a couple of times. It's currently closed. And this project will result in the demolition of the existing Pizza Hut restaurant, construction of a new building for which no tenant has been identified, and then a remodeling of the Taco Bell restaurant. All of the reviews have been received, comments have been received from the township engineer, and we have representatives from the Pettit Group who are the design engineers on this who can explain a little more about the project to the board. If you could come over to the podium, perhaps.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brian Cleary with the Pettit Group. I'm the engineer who worked on these plans. So currently, the property is developed as a former Pizza Hut and current Taco Bell and Long John Silver with two separate accesses to each of the properties. There are two separate properties. The proposed redevelopment will consolidate the two properties to a single property. We'll also get rid of the two individual accesses to Broad Street and propose a single access to the new combined development with a combined parking area. The Taco Bell will no longer include a Long John Silver. It'll be just a Taco Bell. A dual ordering layout will be proposed for the Taco Bell. We are proposing significant landscaping in accordance with the township ordinance. We've had a lot of discussions back and forth with the township engineer. We still have some minor comments to address, but I'd say they're relatively minor and can be easily addressed with our final submission. The biggest item is currently there's a stormwater management facility on site. We're actually expanding that facility to meet the township requirements for discharge off-site, so we'll be improving stormwater quality discharging off-site. And that's really the bulk of it. We are requesting several waivers from the ordinance. Those are noted in the July 13th review letter. The township engineer has indicated that they have no issues with the requested waivers. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Do you have any idea what the other building's going to be used for?
As of right now, it's just general retail. They're going to have to market it. If it doesn't end up being a use that qualifies as general retail, if we need any sort of relief from the ordinance, we'll be back in front of you.
Thank you.
Access in and out. Is there any changes or adjustments to the current roadway as far as right lane in or no left turnout?
So there will be no changes to the existing roadway. The biggest change is we're consolidating two separate driveways into a single for the entire center.
Okay. So that, Aaron, can you go back or whoever's?
That would be the Taco Bell entrance, right?
Right.
Yes, so
There were
there,
these two, and it's going down to just one.
yes, so there will be one central main
Okay.
entrance into the property.
And it is right in the middle of the property.
Yes, generally right in the middle.
Access difficulties there?
No,
No
actually,
difference than
the-
any, no different than any other
Eliminating the second driveway will improve access.
access, right? Okay.
And we've required PennDOT approval, which we will provide prior to finalizing.
And how many parking spots, roughly?
I think there are 58.
So that's for both sides of the property?
Yes.
Okay. Because the Taco Bell, I see you've got a drive-through section, right?
Yes.
What is that in is that the building envelope in the top right? Yeah.
Lighter tan, yes.
So that's closer toward, I guess they're both closer towards the front.
Yeah,
Parking in the rear. Okay.
they're as close to the roadway as we were permitted per the ordinance.
Got it. And what's your, assuming this is approved, your thoughts on construction schedule are, if you have any?
The Representative Joe DePascal for the developer.
I understand it's just an estimate right now.
Pascal, Development Manager for Summerwood Corporation. We operate the store now. We're actually in for permits now to modify and remodel the building, get the Long John Silver's out of it, and do some modifications to the actual building itself. That's happening now. I think it's in front of your building folks for approval. The rest of the development obviously will be pending approval here and the DOT. At the end of the day, that's usually the long lead item. So as soon as we possibly can, but we're going to get the building remodeled and cleaned up now. Yeah.
The other existing building is going to stay as is?
No, the other existing building today, I'm going to demo that probably when I start doing the remodel, just to get it cleaned up and off the property now, because it's empty and it's not in great shape. And, we're going to try and lease a new pad.
Any other questions, comments, anyone? Not, then we move it to our,
The intent would be for them to return in August with an approval resolution.
Commissioners, the only thing I'd like to note is we need a good restroom.
Yes.
I think we might want to emphasize that to the applicant.
You.
No, I'm kidding. Sorry.
I'm thinking about what else we can put on that other side of the property right there.
You guys really don't want me to
With a
sleep
broker
tonight.
the
bro.
other day, so I'm getting the listing out there and obviously pending approval, trying to get somebody to.
Our solicitor is, his stomach is churning right now, lest he think that we're doing anything more than just joking about the fact that we are looking for some other form of eatery in Hatfield. So, does that make you feel better, what I just did? Yeah, there we go. Thank you very much. We'll
Thank
see
you.
you in a month.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 4, Bucks County Estate Traders Land Development Discussion.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Rogers. This is the property that sits on just north of Orvilla Road on Bethlehem Pike. Some of us may be old enough to remember it as the David and David Furniture Store. It's been operated by Bucks County Estate Traders for several years now, and because of the some changes in their business and the need to hold some merchandise once it's sold until it can be picked up or delivered, they're proposing to construct a 10,000 square foot building which would be used for furniture storage or storage of items for the business. And what they've done is to design that addition or that 10,000 square foot building in a way that still respects all the conditions of prior zoning decisions and respects the floodplain, because there is a substantial amount of floodplain on the property. Kirk Klaus is their design engineer. Kirk is here this evening, raring to go. So I'll let him fill you in on the rest of the details.
Good evening. This is not very exciting. This is a 10,000 square foot warehouse building. One thing I first want to note, it will be split in half for fire protection reasons. So there'll be 2 spaces of 5,000 each. The building is directly to the rear of the existing large building. There is existing stormwater management on the site. As was earlier mentioned, the redesign in compliance with the township ordinances has made it better, a little bit larger, and we are in compliance with that. As mentioned, if you look to my right of this plan, there are, as Ken said, when David and David had the existing building approved, there was zoning relief for parking. I think, as we all know, furniture stores, traditional furniture stores, need far less parking than a traditional retail establishment. This particular business uses even less parking. The building and the showroom is there, but the bulk of the business for Bucks County Estate Traders is online business. So while the showroom is there and it's obviously open for people to come, the traffic and the need for parking is far reduced. But because of the earlier zoning, we had to prove that the additional parking, the additional future parking could still be accommodated with this land development. And that's what we've proven, that all works. We have a review letter from CKS Engineers dated July 12th, which is a virtually clean letter. There's one sign that was asked for, and some other minor detail in the basin with respect to just some clarification and labeling. So as I said, we generally have a clean letter from CKS. We have a clean letter from McMahon Associates, other than the calculated traffic impact fee, which is $4,563.76, which will be part of, hopefully, the approval resolution. We did have a review from Mike Waldron with respect to fire And we're in good shape with Mike as well with respect to the splitting of the space and the requirements to exempt sprinklers in this building. We are asking for 6 waivers. And unlike the earlier applicant, I really would like to go through them to make sure the board is comfortable with them. The township engineer has also weighed in on the waivers that we're requesting and has no objection. The first one that we're asking for is to provide preliminary final approval in one shot rather than go through the 2 steps. That's pretty safe since I have a clean letter. Item number 2 has to do with a partial waiver from curbing. The property, as you can see in the light gray on the screen, is all existing. The existing parking lot, especially out front, and as you come down the north side of the building into the back, is curbed. The dark area is what are proposed improvements, and we are asking for, at the bottom of the plan, no curb to be installed. And that's for a very specific reason, to allow the runoff, the storm runoff, to sheet flow off of the parking lot, and as you can see, it'll go straight into the detention basin. As well, along the front of the new warehouse building, there's no curbing there, and we're proposing the concrete bumper stops for the cars. So that we would need a partial waiver from curbing. And again, as I said, the township engineer has stated he has no objection to that.
Warehouse itself is not anticipated to have public traffic, right?
None, 0. The third waiver I'm going to skip over because I think that might take a little discussion. It has to do with sidewalks. Number 4 has to do with a reduction of street trees. We're proposing 4 street trees, whereas 6 are the requirement per the ordinance. And the township's landscape architect has reviewed the plan, and we have all concurred that what we're proposing is appropriate for this project. So we would be looking for a partial waiver from street trees, namely 2. We're deficient by 2. Number 5 has to do, again, with landscaping, in that because of some restriction, if you look at the plan with the future parking, there's not a lot of space to do a lot of landscaping. So as a way to combat some of the requirements from the ordinance with respect to quantity of plantings, we are proposing to double the size of a particular required plant to take 1 for 2. In other words, I've increased the size of the plant and reduced the quantity of the plant. That technically would require a waiver, and again, the landscape architect has no objection to what we're doing. And we didn't do it across the board. We did it appropriately. My landscape architect and Kim got together, and we came up with a plan that made sense. So that would be the 5th waiver. The 6th waiver is very technical in nature, and it has to do with freeboard in the detention basin. The ordinance calls for, when you calculate your highest water elevation, that there is additional space, freeboard, and we don't comply with the full requirement of that freeboard. It's slightly less, and again, the township engineer has no objection for that specific waiver request. We are, in fact, I'm getting back to number 3. We are, in fact, asking for a waiver from sidewalks along the frontage. And I know it's the board's desire to put sidewalks wherever they can. This is a unique property in that, as you can see, the developed part of the property is right in front of the building. Half of the property has floodplain in it. There is a main culvert that goes under 309, and then a secondary stormwater pipe that goes under 309. There's approximately 200 feet of frontage of this property that is compromised by the floodplain, the drainage facility, with respect to a gully that's there that's probably 6 feet deep. So I know you hear it a lot, but to construct sidewalk along the frontage of this property would be very, very, very expensive and very impractical, especially with respect to the scope of the project and the fact that any improvements that are being done to the rear of the property. The frontage of the property will remain the same. It'll be increased in that we're putting a few additional trees out front. In addition to the physical constraint of the drainage, there's a guide rail that runs along our frontage to protect the property from traffic. And there is very little space in that space from behind the guide rail to where the existing parking is. So we would respectfully request the waiver of the sidewalk in this case, in that clearly it's not going to go anywhere. And I know sidewalk has been installed. The board has required sidewalk north of this property. But because of the physical constraints, we would really like your consideration of the waiver.
Kirk, and Commissioners, just so we're all on the same page, like we normally do for all applications, we will discuss this waiver at a planning and zoning meeting coming up later.
Or before consideration at the next meeting.
Planning and zoning committee will make a recommendation on what.
Right.
Right.
This particular one definitely required my explanation, and it's not because he doesn't want to spend the money. He literally can't spend the money because the cost, there are two options. The cost to widen the PennDOT culvert would be approaching $1 million.
Right.
The secondary option would be a pedestrian bridge for 200 feet, which would be also cost prohibitive, and he would just not do anything. This project is meant to improve the functioning of this business, and again, for those reasons, this is a unique property that I think deserves consideration of this waiver. And I believe the township engineer has also weighed in less than the other waivers where he says he has no objection, knowing the board's desire, has also suggested that there are true physical constraints here that need to be considered.
Understood. Anything else? Any questions, comments? Residents, commissioners? All right, so what we'll do is you'll be on August's agenda. It sounds like you have a P&Z meeting, planning and zoning, sometime fourth Monday. And that committee will give us a recommendation, and we'll see you back here in about a month.
Sounds great. Aaron, could you give me a report on the Planning and Zoning Committee?
Sure.
Thank you.
Be happy to. Thanks, Kirk.
Feel like I'm doing Park and Recs tonight.
Wait till I go. I got a long one tonight, too.
Okay, item number 5 is ordinance amendment discussion. Storage of lithium-ion batteries.
I can introduce this one. And just, Commissioner, just so you know, I did warn Mr. McCann that this is going to be a long meeting and you're going to be sitting through it, and he decided to stay. So this was his choice to stay this late. Mike McCann, our Deputy Fire Marshal, Emergency Management Coordinator. Commissioners, I know you know him well. Just introducing him, I know a lot of the members of the community know Mike well. He's one of our most dedicated and long-standing employees, but he's here to talk about an issue that he has seen pop up recently and would like some guidance from the commissioners on an ordinance amendment.
Thank you. So I'm here to request that the board adopt a separate standalone standard written by the National Fire Protection Association, commonly referred to as the NFPA, governs installation of stationary energy storage systems. It's referred to. It all began back in April when I had 2 businesses contact me the same week. They want to get into placing batteries in electric vehicles. Well-established businesses in town, and their request of me was, well, what regulations are there when we come to electric vehicle batteries, and what do you have to do? Let me look it up. And when I turned to my trusty fire code, there were about 3 pages that, or just the newer style battery storage systems and things like that. So I went on a search and I found NFPA 855. Newest edition, just released in May. It's the 2023 edition. Bulk of the deals with larger that are coming this way. Sooner or later, there's a big push on alternative energy, solar systems, battery storage. Utility companies are trying to build these storage buildings so that they can use hours. So, but there is a chapter that deals specifically with working with electric vehicle batteries and what. Second chapter that deals with energy storage in residential buildings, family dwellings. The picture. And I don't want to pick on Tesla, it's just a very common name everybody's familiar with. Tesla Powerwall is simply battery storage. Panels make the energy during the day, they store the energy in the Powerwall. There are many manufacturers. I know that are in town now. I think there's a third one. I can't remember where I stumbled across. What I'd like to do is just show you a 4-minute video that kind of explains the seriousness of fires with lithium-ion batteries. I'm hoping the sound will come on, so I don't have to.
We'll see here. Ready, Mike? All right, let's see if we can make this.
This demonstration shows what it looks like when a lithium-ion battery fails and sparks a fire, often because of faulty design or overcharging. Those batteries causing more than 200 fires in New York City alone last year, injuring 147 people and killing 6. And look at this battery catching fire and exploding next to a child.
Startup charge in 5, 4.
We met with researchers in Pennsylvania to see what happens when a lithium-ion battery is purposely overcharged and fails, starting a fire.
We are here with Steve Kerber. He is with UL's Fire Safety Research Institute. So, Steve, we're actually inside of a home built to burn.
We study how fire grows and spreads, and we purposely instrument it so we can figure out how to keep people safe for emerging technologies like this.
Kerber and his team outfitted this 1,600-square-foot house with everything you'd find in the typical American home. Then they rigged it with cameras and an array of sensors that measure heat and gases.
It's going to catch fire, it's going to release a lot of gas, and we're going to see an explosion.
Researchers removed the safety features on the battery to ensure it would fail. After 2 hours of overcharging the scooter, smoke. 17 seconds later, the explosion buckled the windows. This is what it looked like from the inside. 12 minutes later, the living area engulfed. It was too toxic for us to get into the home after the fire, but here's what it looked like inside after Kerber ran a similar test 2 weeks earlier.
It happens so fast, doesn't give people a lot of time to react.
It's not just e-scooters and bikes. These batteries power electric vehicles. They're also used in energy storage systems to store solar energy. Hunter Clare and Justin Lopez experienced the force of a lithium-ion battery fire firsthand in 2019.
Originally, we thought it was a transformer fire.
The Peoria, Arizona fire captains responded to a call at a facility containing thousands of lithium-ion batteries used to store energy for the power grid.
You needed to make sure it was safe for the workers to go back into this building.
Exactly, so they could fix whatever the ultimate problem was. And as we went to leave at that point in time, it ignited, right? It blew up. I don't remember the explosion, don't remember anything from there.
The force blew both men under a chain link fence. Lopez landed 30 feet away, Claire 70 feet.
Where's he at?
The men nearly died. Both suffered brain trauma, broken bones, and multiple burns.
How are you doing today?
Doing pretty good, all things considered. You know, just happy to be alive.
They're now sounding the alarm that these battery failures can be lethal. In statements to NBC News, the battery industry says failures are rare and the technology continues to be a safe and cost-effective way to provide reliable, clean energy to consumers. And they are collaborating with emergency response governmental agencies to increase awareness. To avoid this, buy batteries that are certified by a lab like UL or Intertech. Don't overcharge batteries or leave them charging unattended. If you see smoke from the battery, get out quickly and call 911. Best practices to safely live with this new technology.
So guys, the big question is, where can you actually install these or charge these batteries? And I wish I had a one-size-fits-all answer for you. The experts say it really depends. You want to follow the manufacturer's instructions for your particular e-bike or scooter, or if you are installing one of those energy storage systems that a lot of people do, they're connected to their solar panels. Should that go inside the garage? Should it go outside? It depends on where you live. But ask those questions to make sure you're putting it in the safest and best place.
These batteries are everywhere now.
They are. They really are.
Thank you, Vic.
Thanks, Vicki.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't miss the Today Show every weekday at 11 a.m.
So as the video demonstrates, when fires
Thanks,
happen, it happens quickly and it's devastating. New York City has gone nuts with these simply because of the nature of New York City. It's so condensed and people use but we are starting to see this pop into town. And currently, we really don't have to manage it. We don't want to discourage the new technology. We just want to make sure it's safe when it's put in place. The way the state works with adopting the building codes, it's now, and we are working off a 2018 building. 2024 codes will come out soon. We don't know if we're going to adopt the 2021 codes. This standard will not be adopted until at least the 2024 fire code. It'll be referenced in there. And at that point, we may not get it until 2026. What we're trying to do is just get ahead of the curve down, and once to do a project like this, have a tool in place that we can make sure that it's safely as possible for residents, workers, and the firefighters. You know, those guys were hazmat technicians. They thought they had it cleared and almost died. So that's all we're asking. I don't want to take a lot of time. I have plenty of answers if anybody has questions. If you don't want to do it now, catch me. I'm here Monday through Friday. Write them down. I'll answer them next month when I come back. That's all my notes. I wanted to keep it short and sweet.
Let me start. I think it's a fantastic idea, and I really appreciate, your being out ahead of this. There's probably, probably very few people who are recognizing it so far in advance, and so that's extraordinary. So thank you for that. I'm not sure. Do you have a sense of? Are you in the process of putting together something of a proposed ordinance that you said? I'm not sure what process you've gone through to vet it, either internally or maybe with some others in your subject matter expertise area, right?
So internally, we've discussed it amongst ourselves, Mike and I,
right.
Rich O'Brien, the building inspector.
Right, right.
I've consulted with Jim at United Inspection Agency, who's our electrical underwriters, and Jim actually sat on previous technical committees for previous editions of this very code. His answer to me was, if you called me up cold and said, where should I go for information about lithium-ion batteries and storing them, that he would send me to this code.
Got it.
Mike, you would like the commissioners to consider adopting that code, correct, in its entirety?
This one code in the entirety. Probably 2/3 of the code deals with the commercial setting.
Right.
And setting up those larger energy storage systems,
Right.
which we may or may never have in town. We have a lot of warehouse space, and to have somebody walk into town and say, hey, here's my proposal. I want to put an energy storage system in this warehouse. We don't have anything to regulate that and make sure it's done in a safe way. So there's one chapter specifically on the batteries for electric vehicles, how they have to store them. They have to make it a separate room. They have to have smoke and gas detection. She talked about in the video toxic gases that are emitted when this happens. Fire protection from sprinklers. So, and then there's another chapter that deals strictly with the residential setting, power wall type of thing.
Okay.
We already have permit in place for charging stations for electric vehicles at your house. Hopefully, everybody's pulling a permit when they buy a new electric vehicle. Mike Waldron is looking at charging stations in a commercial setting, just keeping have a problem of charging an electric vehicle catching fire up against the building. As far as other peers, we're talking about it. Nobody else has a better answer than this.
Right.
Some municipalities are looking at underground parking garages where they want to install electric vehicle charging stations underground in a parking garage. This does not address charging stations.
Got it. What would our next step be?
I would say we'd do an authorization to advertise an ordinance amendment adopting that code and draft that ordinance amendment.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you want to, I mean, we can do that this evening, right? Okay, so I'll make a motion to, for publication as just described by our solicitor. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Vice President Rogers. Any questions or comments? And folks, just so you know, and those who are watching, this is just for publication, which means that our solicitor is going to draft up the notice that goes out publicly that announces what we're considering at our, what would be our next meeting in August.
Correct.
And it publishes the ordinance, or maybe does it give a link to the
Legal
ordinance?
notice describes the ordinance and also gives a copy to the paper and also copies here for township.
So people can come here and take a look at.
That's correct. And that's said.
Proposed ordinance
That's stated
itself.
in the legal notice.
Right. Okay, great. All right. Any questions, comments, residents, otherwise? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, we're approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Really appreciate it. It's a great idea, by the way. Very frightening video, by the way. Yeah, so, all right.
All I have tonight. Thank you.
Have Public Works, I think nothing tonight. Park and Recreation Committee, Commissioner Zimmerman.
Okay. Thank you to all of you that are still here. Lots going on as
This
usual.
demonstration shows what it
You guys really don't want me to sleep tonight, really?
Ready? Okay, again, lots going on this month and next month for the rest of the summer. Starting with summer pickleball, it already began June the 5th. It continues through September the 22nd, Mondays through Friday, 8 to 12, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the pickleball courts out by the community park. Registration fee, $35 for residents, $50 for non-residents, and you can register online at hatfieldrec.com. Our fall fitness programs, keep an eye out for that. The information will be also on the website and available next month. And it'll be Zumba, Remix, Pound, and Yoga. Some of the events coming up, we've got a couple movies. In August, we're going to have Minions, Rise of Gru on Friday, August the 11th, and Paws of Fury, Friday, August 25th, and they start approximately at 8:30. So snacks and hot dogs and beverages will be available for purchase, but bring your lawn chair or a blanket and some snacks and come out and enjoy the movie with the kids. The Music Feast series, concert series is continuing. Next one is Monday, August the 7th, 6 to 8, School Road Park. And then on August 21st, the featured band will be Challenge Accepted. Our Park and Recreations Department and the board are partnering with the Boy Scouts, Troop 229, Boys and Girls to Serve Food, and will be available for cash purchase. Dash and Splash 5K is coming up on Wednesday, August the 16th. Starts at 7 p.m. at the Aquatic Center. It's a great race to break up the work week and enjoy some fun time with family and friends. You need to register. You'll receive a finisher's medal, free Kona Ice, a summer swag, and access to the Aquatic Center for a private pool party just for runners and their families and friends. Register at runtheday.com. July has been Park and Recreation Month, but we still got a little more to do this month for National Park and Recreations, but it's been quite the celebration so far. Thanks to our amazing fitness instructors who taught pop-up classes in the park throughout July, residents were able to try Zumba, yoga, pound, and remix and learn a little bit more about the programs that we offer. One more class is left for this Friday, the 28th. It's the remix, which is like cardio kickboxing, at 6:30 at School Road Park. We've also taken a look back at the Park and Rec programs and events of the past on our Throwback Thursday on social media. And we've been touring the parks and trail system with our very own famous Moose family, Salsa and Churro. As we post pictures of Salsa and Churro's tour and explore series on social media, the community has had the opportunity to guess which parks the Moose are at for a chance to win a prize. Last week, we had a pop-up event celebrating Park and Rec's month. We had a great turnout. We threw a party in the park for everyone. We grilled some hot dogs, and I actually helped serve the food, drinks and popsicles, and thanks to all the other commissioners for their help and support, and the awesome police department, who's not here now to get our thanks, but Chief, let the guys know that we really appreciated their help. They did a water balloon toss, they did games and other giveaways. And then our resident arts and crafts guru, Brianna, who also left, she left. She volunteered helping the family decorate flower pots, along with our Shade Tree Commission member, Joan, helped them to plant flowers. Jeff, George, Deb, and Kim, other members of the Park and Recreations Board, helped families decorate our community bench. So make sure you take a look at that when you go out to the School Road Park. Nacho and the Moose were out there taking pictures and signing autographs. There was face painting, playground activities, and the band Night Flight kept us dancing to the great music throughout the event. So this year's National Parks and Recreation Month theme was Where Community Grows, and we had a blast celebrating with the Hatfield community. And congrats goes out to Ashley and the department, the Park and Recs department. They were runners-up for the Pennsylvania Recreation and Park Society 2023 Good Job Award. The award recognizes parks and recreation professionals who show outstanding dedication to the field and have made a direct impact on the community. Thank you, Ashley and Steve, and all the people on your board that help you out with that, because you do a great job. Thank you. Okay, and that's it.
All right, that's a lot going on. That's great. Nothing for public safety, and I don't believe there's anything for finance committee, so we're going to move quickly into our action items. The first one is a motion for approval to update to the facility emergency action plan as recommended by the insurance carrier. The chair will make the motion. Is there a second? By Vice President Rogers. Aaron, I think you've got this one too. It's a that right?
Sure. Yeah, I'll be quick, Mr. President. A and B, both housekeeping items, both recommended by Delaware Valley Trust, the insurance trust that Hatfield is a member of. We meet with them regularly. We actually have a meeting with them tomorrow morning. These are just two of the updates to our policy that they recommended to.
Okay. With that, I'll call the question. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. Second is motion for approval to update to the accident and illness prevention policy as recommended. I'll make the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Zimmerman. As we just said, also another housekeeping item. Any questions, comments? Commissioners, residents? No? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. Third, Stewart Basin renovation, invoice number 1 and 2 for $135,000. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion by Vice President Rogers.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Zimmerman. Aaron, do you want to?
Sure.
I know it's approval of invoices, but.
Yeah, project's moving along nicely. Of course, it was dry all spring until we awarded the bid, and then it rained every day since. But
sure.
They're getting there. This is obviously in Vice President Rogers' ward and a project that he's supported for years. They'll be done within probably a month or two, so they're making progress. These are the first two invoices of a bid that was $348,000, so we're almost halfway there.
Okay, great. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. Fourth item, Liberty Bell Trail Design Proposal, Schwab Road, funded by the grant. Is there a motion for approval proposal by McMahon and Bowman, a Bowman company.
So moved.
Zimmerman, second by Vice President Rogers. AB, do you want to?
Sure. This was a planning grant that the township received earlier this year for $100,000 to plan and design this portion of the Liberty Bell Trail from Orvilla Road along Schwab Road into Lansdale Borough. So the grant was applied for by McMahon on the township's behalf. McMahon is now submitting a proposal to do the design and the planning for this, which was the plan, but we have to formally approve it at a public meeting. The grant is for $100,000. The contract is for to not exceed $100,000. So this is our final leg of the Liberty Bell Trail to make a connection to Lansdale, and a pretty significant connection, since the other portion on the other side of Orvilla, hopefully next year. Proposal to figure out how we're going to get that trail along that red line.
All right. Questions or comments?
Other one, the one by the railroad tracks.
Right here. So this hopefully in 24, this portion will be built that runs parallel with the tracks behind Snyder Square on the other side of the tracks all the way to Hatfield Borough, which then connects into our current existing trail system. That'll be built as we're planning this, and then hopefully we can build this, and then you have a full connection from Lansdale through our town.
All right. With that, I'll call a question. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. Resolution 23-06, there a motion for approval for the grant application for the DCED's Multi-Module Transportation Fund. The chair will make the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice President Rogers. I believe that this is one of the DCED grants that mentioned earlier as a part of the construction for the...
Correct. So this specifically is to fund the cowpath improvements as well as the road, the private drive out to Orvilla. Those improvements of $2 million. We're seeking 1.5 from this program to help offset those costs.
Got it. Okay. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor of Resolution 23-06, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. And last on our agenda, the Arley Project, improvement to the traffic signals for the grant funded. Is there a motion to award the bid to Armour and Sons Electric for $384,335.85?
So moved.
Motion by Vice President Rogers, second by Commissioner Zimmerman. AB, I think this is the last one you've got tonight.
Last one. This 100% funded by the grant received earlier this year through the state, the Arley program, which is a program that funds improvement traffic signals throughout the intersections throughout the Commonwealth. We received a pretty big number. It's for a variety of intersections throughout the township, some that we're still we're trying to figure out because some have changed since the grant applied for a few years ago. So this will be to Armour and Sons to make, these aren't physical improvements, these are more modifications to existing, upgrade the technology. So it's not as if the residents, you don't see these improvements, but hopefully you experience them through the movement of traffic throughout the town.
Right. Okay. That's an important one for sure. With that, I'll call the question. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, that is approved. Township staff reports. We've done enough tonight.
Anyone wants to?
We're not going to go. It's not halftime. We're not just going to go for
Chief might have another
full round.
I'm not sure.
75 more things I want to go over.
Patches, maybe.
Slides? Are they all slides? Someone.
It's all going to be word of mouth.
Someone give that man a mic. Yeah, give that man a microphone. All right. Citizens' comments. Are there citizens? Yes, Ralph.
Ralph Harvey, Line Lexington Road. Just a quick comment because I know you want to go home.
So do you, right?
And this is in support of the Chiefs building. In late 50s and early 60s, Hatfield only had one policeman, and he operated out of his house with his own car. And the crisis of the moment in that time, he was driving with an expired driver's license. But as he grew, and then Mike Murphy came, and then they moved to the township building, which I don't know, X amount of rooms in the back of that building, which they outgrew. and then they moved to the building that they're in today. And I believe that money came from federal funds. And I think the building was designed quickly just to meet the requirement of the date to get it in to get that money. And maybe it could have been planned better and more effective for them to work. And now here we are, we have that opportunity to do it again. But we're not really under, you're not under a gun to really be quick to get it done. And hopefully everything that's in that building is going to last for 50 years. And you really don't know what year 50 is going to give you. And from one policeman to now 30. And we don't know where you're going to be, but I hope when you do design it, and I know money drives the train, and I know, well, we can't do that because we might not get the money, where in fact, you're going to hurt yourself in the long run. So it pays to plan it the way you want it, and hopefully come around to fund it. And that's really all I got to say. Thank you for your time.
That's good advice. Thank you.
Mr. President, I think we might want to point out that Ralph's also in this slide here.
Yes, he is, right in the middle.
Somehow he has the exact same amount of hair as he did then. I'd like to know the secret.
That is a great photo. All right. Any other citizens' comments other than about the photo? No? All right. Well, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Rogers.
Second.
And second by Commissioner Zimmerman to adjourn. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thanks for coming out, folks. Great meeting.